I interviewed North Carolina Agriculture Commissioner Steve Troxler. Mr. Troxler has served as the commissioner since 2005. He has an interesting story about his first campaign in 2001, though he did not take office until 2005 after changing parties from Democrat to Republican. Mr. Troxler is a likable man and one of the favorite people I have met while attending NC State. He grew up on the family farm in Brown Summit, North Carolina, about 15 miles north of Greensboro. The farm is still in operation, raising produce and organic tobacco, along with a wedding venue, and he returns there every day. Troxler is a 1974 graduate of NC State University with a Bachelor of Science degree in conservation and a concentration in environmental studies. He says his farming background has been a major factor in preparing him for the job of North Carolina Agriculture Commissioner. He cannot imagine anyone not having a farming background in this job. Commissioner Troxler has always been a leader in service to agriculture in North Carolina. Prior to his election to public office, Troxler has been honored with the Conservation Guardian Award of Guilford County Soil Conservation Service, the Philip Morris Outstanding Young Tobacco Farmer Award, the Outstanding Young Farmer Award from the North Carolina Jaycees, the North Carolina Agriculture Extension Services Outstanding Service Award, the Certificate of Merit from the NCSU chapter of Gamma Sigma Delta Agriculture Honor Society, and an honorary state FFA degree. His family was named Tobacco Farm Family of the Year by the Tobacco Growers Association of North Carolina. Prior employment includes serving as the Soil and Water Supervisor for Guilford County and working as the Piedmont Regional Director for Ag Carolina Farm Credit. The commissioner stated, "There is no typical day in his job. Often his itinerary changes before the day even begins. He travels all over the state, country, and world to advocate for North Carolina farmers and to keep abreast of what is going on in agriculture on a global scale." He said about 60% of his job deals directly with agriculture and 40% with consumer services. He must always be familiar with regulations on a federal and global level. Troxler believes in an educate before you regulate approach, as is evident with the implementation of the new Food Safety Modernization Act. Commissioner Troxler is often present at the North Carolina General Assembly when they are in session. Recent hot topics in the North Carolina legislature have been the regulation of hemp products, raw milk, and the governor's budget. When I asked him about politics, because at the end of the day he holds an elected office, he said, "It's all about relationships. Everyone has their own agenda." Some major allies in the North Carolina General Assembly he named are Senator Brent Jackson, Representative Jimmy Dixon, and Representative John Bell. Commissioner Troxler said his favorite part of his job is meeting people and serving the community. Commissioner Troxler has been following the hog nuisance lawsuits very closely and played an integral part in modifying laws to help protect farmers from these types of suits in the future. One of his attorneys came in during our interview to brief him on the latest findings from the court. He has attended many court sessions and roundtable briefings with the North Carolina Pork Council. With regard to the new Food Safety Modernization Act, which goes beyond Global GAP certifications, these new regulations affect not only produce but food manufacturing as well. The Commissioner's Educate Before You Regulate approach involves a statewide initiative for on-farm readiness reviews prior to regulations taking effect. He says that North Carolina has been a model state for the nation to follow regarding implementation of the new federal regulations. As the current president of the National Association of Commissioners of Agriculture, Troxler has led the way to ensure state departments of agriculture are responsible for inspections after a bad experience from a federal inspector on Jackson Farms in North Carolina. He stated that NCDA drafted the majority of the law and was very influential in changes. When I asked him about his goals, he said one goal is to have one day where he's not being sued. As for hemp, the commissioner has partnered with the National Board of Agriculture to develop laws related to hemp and CBD in North Carolina. He hopes and expects that the USDA will allow state departments of agriculture to enforce federal regulations. He is concerned about the overproduction, but believes that hemp seed is a viable crop for the future. Interestingly, he says he doesn't see a future for hemp fiber production in North Carolina. When asked about contracts, the commissioner said he used them some as a tobacco farmer, but many, many more as the commissioner. From the state fair to soil and water conservation, the NCDA and Consumer Services utilizes contracts on a daily basis. When reviewing or enacting laws and regulations related to agriculture in North Carolina, the Commissioner stated what is most important to consider is it fair to everyone concerned, the effect on the economics, and is it constitutional? In conclusion, I was very pleased with the interview and the opportunity to get to know our Agriculture Commissioner a little bit better. I don't believe I would want to be the North Carolina Commissioner of Agriculture. It requires far too much public speaking and travel, neither of which I am fond of. I am thankful there are people like Commissioner Steve Troxler looking out for the welfare of farmers and the safety of all North Carolina residents.